Is that good? All right. Are we live? We're live. Okay. All right. Hi, guys. How are you doing? I want to start by thanking you all for being here and taking time out of your busy schedules to come and spend some time on your learning. The next 2 days, this class is called Beginning Razor. What we're focusing on is helping you with a tool that's new to you, feel a little bit more comfortable with it, so you can do entire haircuts with your razor. And for those of you that already feel pretty comfortable with your razor, we're going to also add on some new stuff for you as well, so you feel even more comfortable after these 2 days. Is that what you guys signed up for? You're in the right class. All right. How many of you have been doing using the straight razor for a year or less? Cool. How many of you have not used a straight razor before? Okay, so raise your hands really high. Good. Okay. These girls here, we're going to have you work with Kate. Back there, Kate, raise your hand. Cool. Yes, and then the rest of you are going to be placed in different classes. How many of you are here for the Look and Learn? Great, okay. Hi back there, good to see you again. Okay, so I'm really excited about the next 2 days. What I like to do is start with inspiration. So what I did is me, Kate, and Nicholas gathered some images, things that inspire us currently, and we put them together so that we can all get really excited. Okay, so we'll play that first. All right. Thank you. What do you guys think? Yeah. You feel inspired? Yeah. Yes. What I love about all of those images is that everyone looks unique. Everyone has their own look, right? They're not like copying what they see out there. They're just kind of being their own individual self, and I really love that. It really speaks to me, and it's what I try to offer my clients. So let's begin by doing introductions of our educators. So I'm going to invite two very special people up here that I've been working with for years and that I'm excited to be working side by side with today because it's rare that we get to do this. So, hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Thanks for having me. Hi everybody, my name is Nicholas. I love working with these two women. They're very special in my life. I've been teaching at Bumble for a very long time as an educator. Really started teaching the basic razor class when we taught at Bumble, the 2-day, and I'm so glad we're having the next 2 days to do it here. I'm excited to be here and to work with you guys and get to know you a little bit better. So cool, welcome.
Hi, good morning. My name's Kate, and I'm so happy to be here. Again, my two favorites. It's so nice to be together. So yeah, I worked at Bumble for a lot of years, teaching the apprenticeship program. So that's why I'm going to have a lot of the newbies. So I'm excited for that. Yeah, just looking forward to the next couple of days.
Yes, there is an art to teaching newbies, as Kate put it. So I'm really excited that she's here with us today. Okay, so let's get into the slides. Can I get, thank you, Kate. Thank you, Nicholas. Nicholas is going to be up here with us, and we are live streaming today. This is new to us. So what's important is that if you guys have a question, that you say it in the microphone, and Nicholas is going to be like Oprah today. So he'll come over and you can talk in the microphone. Yes, so I want to do this because I like the group today, but we don't have a lot of time. So give me your name and the salon that you're from, and we're going to start here.
Gabby, I work at Mind Spa and Salon in New York City.
Awesome.
Hey, Christine, and I work at Baja Studio in New York.
Oh, cool.
Hi, I'm Janine. I work at Star Baby Studio in Alameda.
Thank you.
My name's Raquel. I work at Waco in Stockton.
Okay, cool, Stockton. I'm from Merced.
I'm Abby, and I also work at Unico.
Cool.
I'm Amy. I work at Rainbow Salon in Austin.
Actually, I work at that salon outside Sacramento.
Okay.
I'm Deirdre. I work at Topaz Salon Gallery in Bellingham, Washington.
I'm Shayla. I work at White Rose. Do you work with Angela?
I'm in New York.
Yes.
I don't do my job, I'm sorry.
Oh, shoot. Do we have to start over? Quickly, go.
Okay.
Gabby. Oh, should I hold it? Okay. Gabby, I work at Mind Spa and Salon in New York City.
Christine, and I work at Baja Studio in New York.
Hi, Janine. I work at Star Baby Studio in Alameda.
My name is Raquel, and I work at Unico in Stockton.
I'm Abby, and I also work at Unico in Stockton.
I'm Amy. I work at Raven Rose Salon in Austin.
I'm Ashley, and I work at X Salon outside of Sacramento.
I'm Deirdre. I work at Topaz Salon Gallery in Bellingham, Washington.
I'm Shayla. I work at White Rose Collective in New York.
I'm Nico. I work at Rock, Paper, Scissors Salon in Durham, North Carolina.
Ooh.
I'm Morgan. I work at Rock's Bar and Hair Shop in Durham, North Carolina.
Michaela, and I work at Clutch Hair Company in Hood River.
I'm Sarah. I work at Rock, Paper, Scissors in Durham, North Carolina.
I'm Kels, and I work at Rock, Paper, Scissors in Durham as well.
I'm Jessica, and I work at Halo Salon in Santa Rosa.
I'm Ocean, and I work at Art and Autonomy Salon in New York.
I'm Holly, and I work at Anita's Salon in Livermore.
Cool, Livermore. And then we have one back here.
Hi, I'm Lisa, and I work at Jouet Studio in San Luis Obispo, California.
Great. Thank you guys so much for doing that. It's cool to see where you guys are all from, and I am blown away by that. So thank you again for coming. All right, so slides. Can we get the slides up? Ooh, I'm sweating in here. I'm like, all right, so what today looks like. Razor cuts with all of us. All right, so we did the intro and we got to watch the inspirational video. We're next going to go into some theory and language that we'll be using over the next 2 days, and so we are all on the same page and we all know what we're talking about. And we have a working lunch that we designed for this day so we get to leave kind of early. Isn't that cool, right? So you guys will eat while the demos are happening. When the food comes, we can take a little break, grab the food, and come right back. Or you can get up as you please and go get food. We have snacks in the back table, coffee, water, all of those things for you. Bathrooms here. Just don't walk this way, walk that way. Oh, I feel like a... So yes, and then lunch, your models arrive at 12:30, those of you that are doing hands-on. We need a little time to set up the room, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. And then when you guys actually we won't start models till about 1, so that's kind of how it works. And then after your day, we'll have a quick sort of recap of your day and how you feel at the end of today. Well, and then we're done. Does that sound good? So we'll probably be here, but we'll probably be leaving between 4 and 5 today because it's day 1 and sometimes it takes a little longer than day 2. All right, so let's get into theory and language. You guys ready? Ready?
Yeah.
All right, so what's our first thing we want to talk about? So you want to take the first one and then I'll do the second. Okay.
So the first thing we want to talk about is consultation and suitability, which are really 2 important things when beginning your model. So when your models arrive, you'll each have a consultation with your model before you get started. The consultation is an opportunity to start gathering the information and kind of figuring out what canvas that you're working with, right? So look at hair type and texture. Density is always important. Cowlicks and growth patterns, just so you're aware of what's going on within the girl's head shape, because it's so important. Because once the hair is dry and it goes to wet, it completely changes texture, right? Just make sure you gather that information so you're aware of what's happening as you're working through the haircut. And suitability is really making sure that it looks good on your model, like really looking at it, not just thinking about degrees and angles and all that stuff that you're gonna get into, but really looking at it and deciding what looks good on this girl. Really using your eye like that special gift we all have as a hairdresser. What looks good on her? What's gonna fit her? What's gonna fit her face shape? What's gonna fit her body type? What's gonna work with her hair texture? The whole thing like coming together.
Yeah, I had a friend who was like, yeah, I love short hair, but I can never go short because I feel like my butt's really big, so I like to have long hair. And I just love that she said that because it's like, yeah, we all have our things, and suitability is key, and that's what makes all of the hair different. That's what makes everyone's hairstyle different, because it works for you, your cowlicks, how you're gonna style your hair.
Like in the reference pictures, they all were so suitable.
Yeah.
They all look so like they fit the person that it was on, right? So you're really like keeping that in mind.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go to the next one. So balance, sectioning, and head shape all kind of go together, because head shape is, I think, one of the most important things when you're deciding suitability and deciding your technique and your approach to your haircut. Head shape to me is everything. I love a big head. You know, I love a big crown. I love some volume, and so I'm always thinking about that. Whatever. I'm always thinking about creating that, right? And we talk about this all the time, like make sure you get my flat spot, you know? So head
like
shape.
It should look like a head underneath the hair. Like, is there a head there? Let me look inside it and see if there's a head there.
Totally.
Right?
So, you know, that weight removal, it really helps you decide where to place it. And we're going to talk a lot about those things today. Sectioning, we like to keep those very clean, so we'll really work on our clean sections today. And also balance. When you're looking at a haircut that's beautiful, a lot of times it's not symmetrical, right? When you look at an image, it's not perfect, but there's, as long as it's balanced and it looks good and it makes your eye happy and it makes your client smile, then it's good. We don't have to get all like, well, let me see.
Yeah.
Right? Is that the same length? So
I feel like when I stopped doing that, my clients stopped worrying about that. Like when I stopped measuring, they stopped caring about measuring.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just like move the hair around and they would see me moving it and looking at it and stepping back. Like, oh yeah, it works in all these different places. I like it. Rather than like,
Right. And also, like, sometimes on a bob, it does look better for one side to be a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Because especially if it's a part, you know, a side part, there's more hair coming. If there's no bangs, there's more hair coming onto this side. So it makes sense that there'd be a little extra length there. So just, you know, keeping in mind balance over technical. Yes. Cool. All right, you'll go take the next one.
Yeah. Where is it? Oh. So tension and combing go hand in hand. So tension can be the tension that you place on the hair when you're holding it. And we have a little kind of trick that we've learned over the years that really help us with tension is that we overlap our fingers when we're holding the hair. So instead of having your, I can't even do it because my ring wasn't letting me close
look
my
at those
fingers.
rings.
But you overlap your finger, so you create that beautiful seal on the hair, and you get that even tension off the head shape, and that allows your razor work to feel very seamless for you. It's always controlled. You're always kind of feeling it the same way. And combing is important because it really just makes me more aware of where I am on the head shape. Like after I do something, I comb it, I look at it, I move it around, I'll comb it to how I want it, then I'll mess it up. So kind of being very aware of how you're moving the hair around the head shape. It helps you like become more aware, I think, of the head shape too.
Yeah, totally. We don't really use clips.
Yeah.
So if you want to use clips today, you're free to, but we want you to try to not use it just so you can get, you know, better feel of the person you're working with. Yes?
Yeah.
Cool. The techniques we're going to be working on today are these. These techniques can be used in pretty much every haircut: layering, weight removal, bangs. I like to break up the head shape into towns. So this sort of simplified life for me, and I'll explain it to you guys when I get into my demo.
Can I say one thing about bangs?
Yeah.
I got my bangs cut at Pony. I was at a concert. The best bangs I've ever had. I need somebody to cut my bangs on here.
Wait, was it the, which?
It was at the thing in the park in Oakland.
Yes, Burger Boogaloo. Okay, awesome.
I'm like, oh my God, I have to cut my face. It was fabulous.
Thank you.
I'm so happy.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, so you're going to learn how to do this and how to do it on different head shapes and how to do it on different people, cowlicks and everything. People will tell me a lot like about bangs. They'll say, I can't have bangs. I'm like, everybody can have bangs. And, well, I don't like to style it. Well, you don't have to style it. And actually, they look better when you don't, especially if you have curl.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're trying to straighten your bang, and then you have curly hair in the back and straight hair in the front. You know, so it's just better just to go with your cowlicks and cut the hair with the cowlick. Like, look at mine. I mean, I'm not saying they're great or anything, but they're there, and they're all cowlicky, and I'm going with it.
It's like the personality of your head, you know? It's like your fingerprint, but it's on the front and the back.
So
I love that.
Oh, I've never even thought of it that way, but it is. And there are swirls, and that's how your hair grows. Some people have way more swirls.
And I think it's like unique.
It
And that's
is.
what makes it special.
It's so true. I love that. See, that's why I have you here. Okay, cool.
And my job is done. Goodbye.
So weight removal, we're going to work on just one way to do weight removal today, and then we'll add more stuff tomorrow. But today we're just going to work on one way to take out weight, and that way it makes today really simple. And then layering, this is where the upward stroke comes in, and this one always, like in the beginning for me, was really hard. I couldn't hold the hair. And remember when Nicholas was talking about tension? Anytime that you're having a hard time with your razor cutting through the hair clean, pull the hair tighter, because usually your tension is lacking. And a lot of times the model will say, oh, wow, you're pulling way harder than the person that's cutting my hair. So then that has led me to how important tension is. So remember, pull it harder, tighter than you think, without, you know, making her wince or anything.
Or her head snaps back.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Oh, cool. Okay, it's still going on. So different parts of the blade that we really want to become comfortable with is your control really of the edge is how you're going to be cutting lines. the flat of the blade, which is how you rotate the blade to help to diffuse lines and remove extra weight, and then also the tip and the heel. So we're gonna break down on the right side, you're gonna cut with the tip of your blade if you're a right-handed hairdresser. And on the left side, you go with the heel side of your blade. And Karina's gonna break all this down in her demo, but it's really just to create balance in your haircut and symmetry within your haircut. And just for motion, it's just the most ergonomic way to cut is tip and heel, tip to the right, heel to the left, flat to erase, edge to create lines, to create structure. Because a razor can be so shreddy sometimes. The thing that we've learned over the years is that you want to have some structure underneath it to give you that support. Yes, question?
So just to be sure, if you're left-handed, you do the opposite. Okay.
Don't you love that when you're left-handed and we just go, just do the opposite. Moving on.
I know, just all, but wait,
we'll work
what
with
about
you.
Me? Yeah.
We'll definitely work with you more than just that. Also, can we go to the next slide so we can see the picture? And then do you want to just point out?
Yeah, so you can see the blade, the front, from the center of the blade to the front is the tip. From the center to the back is the heel. So when you're cutting to the right and you're a right-handed hairdresser, use the tip to the right, right? So tip to the right. And when you're using the tip, the razor is pointed at your client. It's pointing at your model. The heel is you'll rotate the razor, and now the heel side, the razor is pointing at you, the hairdresser. And you go heel to the left, just like what Karina's doing. Tip to the right, heel to the left, working your stroke, using your edge.
Hey, you, come here.
Yeah, Roy said that. Didn't Roy say that?
Roy is so cute when he does that.
Hey, you.
And I never forgot it. It's really cute.
Cute.
Yes? Hey, you, come here. Okay. Hey, you, come here. I put a little emphasis on the come here part. Okay, so is it demo time?
I believe so.
Let's see. Let's make sure it's demo time. Gosh. Okay. Let's look at the back of my head.
Who is she?
Oh, yeah.
Who is she?
Who is she? Who is the girl in your chair?
Yes.
This is important. We need to know her a little bit, right? We need to know something about her. We need to know her lifestyle, and we need to know, what she's open to, right? Some people are really open, so they're fun. Then you can really put your thinkers on, what am I gonna do today? Yeah. Do you ever get freaked out when someone's like, you can do whatever you want?
Where do I begin? There's so many choices.
Right? So I think one of the things is let's try to make an impact, right? Don't just pick a neither here nor there length or blah, blah, blah bangs or whatever. Let's make something go, wow, look at how different she looks. That's crazy, right? Don't you love that? Yeah. So let's go to the next slide. Let's make an impact. It doesn't mean a lot of hair comes off always, but it's just
But your
where
choices
it
are
goes.
very thoughtful, right? Your choices are intentional. You're doing intentional hair cutting, right? Oh, cool.
This is a nice before and after. Do you guys recognize this model? She started to get tons of jobs after she got this haircut. What do you see that's different about it?
Yeah.
Right? Do you see her cheekbones all of a sudden? And those lips really pop out. Her eyes are framed now, so it's drawing you to all of her features. It's
like her face got
really
wider,
powerful.
right? It's all you see is this little strip of face, and you're whoa, there's a face underneath there.
Because she has a low hairline, right? So she doesn't have a really big forehead, and a lot of times people think they can't have bangs if they have small foreheads. But I say just cover it up. No one will know. Also, just looks, her head looks bigger. Remember I said big heads? Her head looks bigger. It just looks like she has more of a round, I don't know. Anyway, I love it. Love this makeover. Okay, next slide. This is my twin. But this, I always refer to this long layer because I think it's so pretty. I was like, Kate, how do we do this? And she goes, put a fan on her.
You're done.
Jokes. We got jokes. Cool. So I just like to show how the layers kind of start up in here, and then they just beautifully go down to a length that's not too skinny. Do you see how the length is smaller, but it's still substantial hair, right? So it's kind of dreamy in that way. Awesome. Let's get to the demo. So I'm doing long layers first, and then Nicholas and Kate are going to be doing 2 bobs for you. We have 1 bob on someone with tons of hair, and then we have a bob on someone with finer hair. And so a lot of times we get the question, you know, what hair type would you not use your razor on? Is this a question you guys have? Yes. So what hair type would you not use a razor on?
Coarse, yeah. Maybe Afro texture hair. Yeah. Hair that's already angry at me.
Yeah. If it's more coarse.
More coarse.
You have to cut it more wet.
Yeah.
Right? Like some hair you can cut kind of dry and it's okay and it's still pretty, but then some hair you do it and little white firecrackers come up. Have you ever seen that? And you're like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, but people say you can't cut curls. You can totally cut curls with the razor. It's like just making sure that it has a slip to it. You're using product as you're cutting the hair. You're getting that same stroke and that cleanliness of your stroke as you're cutting hair. Not so much the hair texture, but what it feels like when you're doing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, same. This is Natalie. I've been cutting her hair for a long time now. She's been busy with school, so she's let her hair go. So this is kind of her. How long has it been since your last cut?
It's almost a year.
A year. Okay. So she's totally open. We decided no bangs today. She usually is like, yeah, whatever, give me bangs. And she's had bangs, but they're growing and we like them. So we're going to keep them longer. And then as far as length, when I look at her, she says she likes when she gets a little more texture and movement and curl naturally. So, and this is your hair naturally air dried, right? Her hair feels really soft and silky. It's medium density. It's not super thick or super fine. So she's kind of right in the middle of the road. So I don't need to do a lot of weight removal for her because look at her profile. Does she already have that like really good profile? This is not me, I'm like this. So I like that she has that. So when I see that, maybe I might do a little extra in the crown just to get a little lift, but and ease for her. But first thing I want to talk about is her ends. So I want to get rid of some of this length. And when I look to where I think it will be beautiful is here. Do you see? You could go here if you wanted to like keep length, but she's not about that. So, you know, there's several choices you could make, but I want to thicken it up again and lighten it up a bunch. So when I point to here, she says, sure, that's okay. We want to make sure we check in and point rather than say 2 inches. We say here, right? We go here above boob. Right? And then when it is there, she can't argue with you, right? You did too, right? You got to make sure. So it's like the contract. Sign here. You said. If we look at the back, that's going to be really beautiful. We're going to get rid of just some of that old color too. And then we're just going to layer it up, probably taking off a good amount, 4 inches or so. So if I bring that down and look to where that goes, it's a good length, I think. So I'm not worried about that. About 4 inches. And when I look at her frame, I want to strengthen it because it's skinny. So I'm going to strengthen this frame. Long bangs, probably to lip. Okay, and this is my trick for all bangs. Check them out when they're dry with cowlick, okay, and bend. And if you want it to hit lip, pull this section tight. Yeah, and then you know where you're going to cut it. So you don't have to think about it later. And this works with this works with curls too. So if you see someone with their curls, right, and you want the bang to sit here, just hold the curl and pull it. And then you're going to know and you're going to mark it. Oh, lip. Okay. Oh, chin. Right? And then you're going to know and you're not going to be like, let's see what happens. Cool. So when you're measuring where you're going to start her bang, and if I'm thinking lip, I think that would be a really pretty start for her. So I will let her cowlick be cowlicky. I will let her wave, and then I'll pick the spot where I want it to sit, and then I'll pull it tight. So then I know, because remember, with razor cutting, you have to use tension to cut. So you cannot not use tension to cut. Unless you're doing some razor over comb in the back.
Yeah.
But that's
you always
just
have
the
to
one.
Pull the hair.
You always have to pull the hair.
Yeah.
So that's a good trick for bangs. Yes?
Yes.
Cool. And then also she moves her bangs around. She doesn't wear them in the same part, side, side. Do you ever wear them in the middle?
Like parted down the middle?
Yeah. Or like closer to center, maybe like off center. That looks pretty, right?
The widow's peak.
Yeah. So it's either side of your widow's peak. Cool. I love your widow's peak. Okay, and that's pretty much it. Length, layer, frame, right? Starting from lip. All right, cool. So I'm just gonna, her hair's clean, so I'm just gonna have Georgia wet her down for me. And then we are gonna be styling her with her natural texture. And because I want a little body and volume, I'll probably be using some Surf because her hair's so shiny. A little bit of Surf, maybe some grooming cream to help with shine and fly away and frizz. Okay? Okay, you can go with Georgia. All right, what'd you think?
I thought that was great.
Should we talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay. What made
you choose your length choices with the layering?
With the layering,
you just like picked it up and it was like 4 inches, but what did that really mean?
Yeah. So I picked that because I definitely want it to be a layered look. So I don't want the layers too long, but I don't want a shag or something too rock and roll either. So it's just kind of right in the middle.
Like pretty.
Just like pretty layers.
Yeah.
Right? It's like our bread and butter.
Yep.
You do this like 80% of the time, just pretty gorgeous layers. So you gotta hook it up.
Yeah.
Right? You gotta be good at it, because that's the one thing. You wanna be different than the other person that gives her long layers.
And like creating a head shape, like she measured it, then brought it down past the head shape. Oh, I want it to sit around the head shape. That's gonna help me decide where I wanna place it.
Mm-hmm. What did anything to you guys stand out that you guys noticed? Yes?
I just have a question. Would you use broader strokes or small strokes to create more dimension or softness around either her bangs or hairline or length?
Good, this is a really good question. So would I use small strokes or large strokes to create all of that movement and variation? So with her hair type, my choice is to keep my stroke smaller because her hair is finer and there's not a lot of it. So she naturally looks like we did that, even though we didn't do that. Cool. And then I might add a little, something around the face and the bang, and that'll be like just for extra, movement. But I'll do that at the end as my signature.
I like Karina's consultation because she started with what she wanted it to look like, and then that led her to her technical plan. As opposed to starting with your technical plan. You're like, okay, what do I want it to look like first? I think that's really helpful. The consult is to, what do you want the hair to look like? And then break it down into your technique. I think that's better. It helps you gain that skill and being visual with it.
Yeah, we have models picked for you today and tomorrow that are wanting either a bob or a long layer. So what we want you to do is to use what you see in the demo and recreate it based on their hair type. So if they have really thick hair and you want to make it look less strong at the ends, then we will use a large stroke and we will take out more weight. And so we have to think about, again, going back to suitability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions?
So I took a razor cutting class a while ago, and I started using the razor without the guard. And I used it on Asian hair, so it's very strong, naturally straight. But when I went to dry it, it was very tangly. And her hair is not the tangly type because it's so silky smooth but strong. And I never picked up the razor after that because I didn't like how it felt and I didn't know I was doing wrong. And I did change my blade. I used 2 new blades. I thought maybe it's the blade, so I switched it out, picked a new one. So I don't know what could have happened, or what causes does.
I am willing to bet lots of money that it was the tension.
Okay.
Yeah. So stronger tension.
Okay.
A lot of times you think it's the blade, and then an educator will come over and it cuts like butter.
Yeah.
Right? But sometimes it is the blade. So make sure you let us know if you're having a hard time. We want to know that today, how you're feeling, and make sure that you take the time to grab us and have us watch you. Because today is not about like you doing it real quick and us going, wow, you're so good already. It's about us helping you grow from whatever point you're at so that you can feel better about cutting any texture.
What is it about the tension that could create that?
The tension needs to be a lot tighter than you think. Stronger, pulled tightly. Does that help?
Yeah.
We'll show you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll show you.
Consistent tension.
Yeah. There's no slack in the hair. There's no slack at all. It's just very tight.
Dampness level. Sometimes if you're hearing the blade scratch against the hair, like listen to the sound. Of
Needs
the blade
more
as you're
water.
working it, you need more saturation.
Okay.
With the moisturizing product, like
And
so you get that slip.
And thicker hair does need more water when you're cutting with it. Yeah. Oh, will you take that over there?
Having control over the blade, so that when you are using it, you feel like it's like almost like slicing butter, and that does come from your tension, but also how you're holding the tool, I think, too.
Yes.
So you could have been using the flat and roughing up.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, so it's also, are you using, so there's 3 ways to get a clean line, okay? There's 3 things, write these down. Number 1, tight tension. Number 2 is that your blade is perpendicular to the hair. Do you remember geometry?
See that?
It's creating a right angle, okay? You're like, no, I don't. It's okay.
I failed that class.
But perpendicular means that you're creating a 90-degree angle with the cross, right? So do you see how that looks like a T rather than an X? The difference, right? T, X. So if you are perpendicular to the hair, you're going to get a clean line if you are also cutting on the edge of the blade. So.
And see how deep she put the blade in? It's not just
the tip. It's not just the tip.
It's deeper than the tip. Shut up.
You were waiting all morning to say that.
I was not.
I'm kidding. I'm teasing. So all the way through, perpendicular, tilted at a 45. Now the 45 is very important because if you're tilted too much, it's also not going to be right. If you're tilted, I would tilt a little less than 45. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you want, sound guy? So I always call him a sound guy.
Ooh.
That's our joke. Sound guy Steve.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah.
That you're cutting on the edge of the blade. Sorry, I didn't bullet point that, but so it's number 1, tension. Number 2, perpendicular to the hair. And number 3,
edge.
You're cutting on the edge of the blade. The flat of the blade looks like this, and the edge looks like this. Do you see what would happen if I did that on my skin? The flat of the blade looks like this, and the edge of the blade looks like this. Okay, so don't do this on anyone's skin.
And you'll be better at one side of your haircut than the other side. You will. You'll
Yeah.
notice that one is like, oh, this feels awesome. Like, wait, this sucks on this side.
I do.
So knowing that, I think, is really important. And then just being aware of it. Okay, I need maybe more tension on this, or maybe I need to take smaller sections on this side, or grab less hair so you get the right angles of the blade, so you're not scraping.
I remember I was training to be a teacher with Kobe, and she goes, "You're still cutting on the flat of the blade with your going this way." And I was like, "No, I'm not doing that." And she's like, "Yeah, you are." I was like, "Oh, I am doing that." And it was like years and years and years of cutting hair with this tool. Don't put it down. Don't give up on it. It gets better and it gets easier, and you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it so much because it's really a magical tool, right?
Yep.
So when you were cutting on the flat of the blade, when you were going through your training, what was the correction you made? It was just you were just not.
I was cutting flat, and I needed to cut on the edge.
So you weren't angling at all.
I wasn't angling. I mean, I thought I was, but it wasn't enough. Because, and you'll feel that. You'll go, "Oh, that feels right." Sometimes you'll go, "Ooh, that was good," and then you can't find it. You're like, "Where is it?" So it's like this way, you know, "Ooh, that feels better. This side's kind of weird." You're gonna feel that in the beginning for like probably ever. I still feel weird on one side, you know, but it's just, you gotta know that you're weak on that side, or that you. Do I look better with this ring light?
You really do.
Oh, thank you.
I feel like I'm looking at
sound
Penelope
guy.
Cruz.
Totally
Penelope.
hooking it up. Okay. Let's get into hair now.
And we're gonna adjust you. Like if we see you doing something, we're gonna come over and actually move your hands to make it work better for you. So just be open to that, because we know what we're doing.
Chin, right? Remember, I did my measurement and I figured out it was chin. So I don't have to think, right? I love when I don't have to think. It's like, you can do whatever you want with my hair. I'm like, let's do a trim. Just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Natalie. I love to think. All right, so how do you guys feel so far? Good? Any questions in anyone's head? Any burning questions?
Can you just go over how you're holding your razor?
Absolutely. And guys, you are going to get an up close and personal little mini demo with your instructor on how to hold your blade. For those of you that are doing hands-on, we are going to have you hold your razor, and we're going to make sure you feel really good before you get started on your models. Does that make you feel good? Yes. Okay. So I'm just sectioning away a little bit of this hair, and then I'm going to get into that.
How come you don't use clips?
Do you want to answer that?
Because we talked about head shape and getting comfortable with combing and the head shape, and the more you don't use clips, the more you figure out how to manipulate the hair so it stays where you want it without a clip. And all that manipulation ends up becoming, I know how to really handle hair well now. It teaches you how to really handle and manipulate hair really, really well. Clip is like easy, stick a clip and it's done. But combing and figuring out and how to comb with the grain of the hair, it's everything. It teaches you so much, even in your styling, paying attention to grain.
Yeah, and what I'm doing is I'm not just combing it, I'm looking, I'm studying, you know, I'm like really in it, I'm seeing where her hair wants to open up naturally, and I'm letting it. You see, I'm not putting in a part there, I'm letting it part. I want to show you the towns. Can I show you guys the towns that I was talking about earlier? Because when I started explaining things like this, I feel like it really helps a lot of people, and it helped me too. And the reason I thought of towns is because Bumble would always say, like, cut hair where it lives. You know, that way you know you're cutting it exactly where you want it to be, and you're cutting exactly what you want to see. So, and then also I'm going to ask you guys, if you want to take pictures, it's fine. Videos are not okay unless they're like little short clips here and there. So, Bangtown, it's called Bangtown, is going to be wherever her hair starts to look thinner, okay? So if you comb the hair down, and you want to look right around ear, okay? So wherever her hair starts to look thinner, that's Bangtown. So where is that? Like right around here, right? Let's test it. Do you see that? So right in the seam, this is her recession, and this is the high point of her recession. Are you in there, Steve? So this is the high point of her recession, and this bang, this is her bang section. So if you were cutting her bangs, you want to make sure that you don't have hair that's sitting over the side, which is called side town. So bangs side is going to be anything in front of the ear. Okay, so all the hair that is in front of the ear is your side town. Cool, and see how if the hair wants to push behind the ear, I let it. Okay, so then crown town is going to be high point of the head, O-bone, wide points. Okay, so just that. And then nape town, you know where nape town is.
We all been there.
Okay, cool. So does that help? Here's the thing about these towns. If you cut them individually really well, they're going to work together. Yeah? And when I say really well, I mean thoughtfully, like where you want to place it. So I'll start in Bangtown. I was going to do a different sectioning pattern, but then I wanted to show you the towns. So I'll start with the bang. Okay, so chin. Let me just do it. I'm going to over direct and also elevate. So remember all your basics when you're cutting. I'm going to over direct to create a soft short to long frame around her face, this bang area. And also elevating is going to give me softness too. If I wanted to create more strength, then I would hold it lower and cut it, right? So I had stronger ends. But if I hold it up and then even up, I'm going to get softer ends, yes? So thoughtful, right? I'm thinking about it. What do I want to see? I don't want to cut it a million times. I want to like think about it and then cut it. All right, cool. You guys are like, just cut it already. So there, I'm combing straight out. I'm going to measure right around chin and then elevate. And I'm just going to go slight short to long, just a slight short to long, really shallow. Okay? See my angle is really shallow. Why? Because I'm already over directing. So I'm already getting a short to long. If I add a really steep short to long, then there's not going to be any bangs there, right? So I want to make sure there's something there. Then I'm going to take side town, and I'm just going to, remember her hair is really fine. So this is the hair that I'm working with. This is easy for me. But if I needed to break it down, I could, okay? Which, let's just break it down. I'm gonna section away crown town a bit. Cool. I'm going to take care of my length with my, yeah, or should I cut the length in the back? I should probably cut the length in the back. No.
No, do what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was only going to do that because I wanted to show them how to do that, but it's okay. And Kate says no, yeah. And they're going to be doing bobs too, so. All right, let's do it. Okay, so I'm going to still, this is my side town, I'm going to go ahead and cut to the ear, section to the ear, and over direct to my bang with a slight elevation, and I'm just going to connect from my bang. Now, here is the tricky part. I'm going to here, remember? So this guy needs to be shorter than that. Make sense? If I don't, then I'm going to end up with a lot of hair there. I do want a lot of hair, but I don't want so much. I want it to still be really soft and layered, okay? So if I'm thinking ahead, then I know that this section probably should fall somewhere here, okay? So if I bring that up and just kind of eyeball it, you don't have to get all crazy. Just eyeball it. There it is. There's that. It's almost straight. right? But I am gonna go a little short to long. So I like that my team's laughing at my jokes. Thank you, team. Okay, here we go. This is a little bit bigger stroke for more softness. Elevate. Smaller stroke because I have very little hair there. So did you see how my stroke got smaller so I could create a little bit more? So before I go to my length, I'm going to do the other side. You guys, question? Nicholas, we have a question. Who
Yes, who has a question? Yes.
Maybe my terminology is not right with the razor, so I apologize. But why are you using the back end of the heel side of the razor and not the tip when you're doing that?
Thank you for saying that. So I'm using, so remember, tip to the right, heel to the left. That's always, even in the bang. So when I'm cutting this way, I'm going to use the back end of my blade. And when I'm cutting from left to right, I'm going to use the front end of my blade. So now that I'm on this side, I'm going to use the front. Does that make sense?
Yes, but why are you doing it?
Why?
Why are you choosing to use the heel, not the tip? When is there?
Because we talked a little bit about this. So it helps with ergonomics. Okay. It helps with the feel and the flow. Okay. It also helps with direction. Okay. So I do.
Okay.
It does. It feels really comfortable. So we'll work with you on that. Yeah. Thank you.
So on this side, she was working into her body, so it's the heel. On this side, she's working away from her body, so it's the tip. Mm-hmm. Yes, question?
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Karina.
Yes.
So is the density of her hair the reason
here,
why you're not taking subsections and pulling forward? Because you're using a big piece, you're pulling the whole side town in. Mm-hmm. And I find that I will take subsections and then over direct them forward. Is that because of her density, you're able to take it in one cut?
Yes.
So you're not doing that?
It is because of her density. She has finer hair. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay. So again, I'm going to start there it's kind of the same. I could measure. And I'm going to go, it's a shallow, short to long. Check for balance, and then take the rest of this. I'm going to get rid of the crown.
Yes, question.
Why did you choose to start with the bang section opposed to getting rid of the perimeter? Is that just something like a feeling because it's more about shape than it is about the length?
Mm-hmm.
Or
good question. So why did I start in the bang and not in the length? So if I were taking off, if she had a lot of hair and I were taking off the same amount, I might start in the back because there's a lot of hair. She doesn't have a ton of hair. So it's easy for me to do it this way. The other reason is because of the look that I'm going for. So remember the Penelope Cruz kind of picture? So I'm going for that sort of really cascading layer. And so by over directing and bringing things forward, the way that it's gonna fall in the back is really beautiful.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Instead of having like, right? That like heavy and then those corners, right?
And also, she may change her mind where the length is after she's put the face framing in. If she cuts her length to a certain length, then she's kind of stuck there, And also, remember we talked about making an impact, right? She wants to do the fun stuff first.
It is fun. It's like, oh, there it is. Whoop, there it is. I had to say that. So again, I'm thinking about where I'm going. It's somewhere in there. I like to say somewhere in there in case it doesn't happen and you guys can't judge me. But, just kind of eyeballing it again. I know I'm going to take off about 4 inches and I'm starting from my bang. I'm over directing, elevating. I can't hold that whole section, so I'll start with a bigger stroke. And then, cool, oh good, doing okay.
That top view is good. Yeah, that's a good view. See her tension, her combing. She's checking her flow.
Checking my flow. Cool. So as far as density goes, I can see already where I'm going to need to take out weight. And that's going to be right in here. Okay? So, but before I do that, those are going to be my signature things that I do at the end when her hair starts to get a little bit more. I can start to see the haircut. So I'm going to cut her length. I just parted right down the middle in the back. And I'm bringing everything forward. I'm going to elevate. And over direct. Elevate and over direct. Using the small teeth helps you get better tension. So when you switch to the small teeth, I use the big teeth for gathering and the small teeth right before I'm going to comb. That's important. All right, so here we go. And now I'm going to hold just a little bit lower, okay? So why? Because I want to get a little more of a stronger perimeter, okay? So I'll have her tilt, and instead of over-directing as much, I'm still going to over-direct, but I'm going to hold it lower, okay? A very, very small stroke. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to part my crown right where it opens up. Where it opens up, if you do the top view, Steve, you can see that it opens up off center, and then I'll go to center where it doesn't split, okay? And I'll just over direct everything. And now I have my guide. We're going to cut off her dry ends. It feels so good and satisfying. All right, here we go.
So now you're just including the crown section that you had left out.
Yes, and on top, I'm going to elevate kind of from here, okay? So instead of bringing it here and cutting it, I'm going to hold it up and cut up here. I can see my guide, and I just go just past it with a bigger stroke. Bigger stroke creates more weight removal in your line. So you have a line, but it's really soft. It's like when you go back in and point cut. Now here, when I get to the side, I'm not going to bring it up. Instead, I'm going to bring it to the side, okay? Kind of following around and elevating still. Bigger stroke. I'm still going to elevate here. And then here, I'll drop it a little bit as I get closer to the nape. Cool. Ooh, can't wait to see what that looks like. All right, so get rid of my crown here, and then we'll do the length first. tilt this way for me. Remember to have your models move when things are uncomfortable. You can have them move. This stuff here, I'm not ready for yet. All right, I'm doing just the length. So I'm going to elevate first. Does this look okay? You guys know what I'm doing. Same thing. Here we go. I had to go back because I had, it was, you know why,
She had
right?
a subsection.
I needed to go back and make sure that I was still rounded. So I went in and took off a little corner that I saw. See that one? Okay. And here we go. We're gonna keep doing this, and I'm going to there. And then I'll hold it lower now. Let's see if I'm balanced. I have a little bit more length on this side, so I'll go back in and take it off. When you have a little bit of hair to cut, that sucks. But the more you use your tool, the better you get at it. You just have to, you know what you have to do? You have to develop the strength between these two fingers.
Yeah.
And the more you do it, the stronger you're gonna get. If you start to like put it away, which I did a lot too.
Yep.
I used to be like, I'll just do my scissors on top,
Yep.
you know? And then I just wasn't getting stronger. You have to keep doing it. And then you can hold the
muscle
tiny
memory, right? It's like when you first learning to point cut, you cut into your finger, right? I did. And then eventually you're like, oh, I'm not cutting my finger anymore. I'm getting better.
Yeah,
It's
look
the
over here.
same thing with the razor.
So see how I have her look to her right shoulder so that I can stand here on this side and be able to still cut her hair. What do you guys think so far? With me? All right. Just a little baby stroke, 2 hairs.
And if you couldn't see your guide, you can subsection. The model's hair is fine, so Karina can see the hair underneath it. She's not just whatever. She can really see it, but if your model had denser hair, which most likely some of them are going to, subsection it, and we'll show you how, because you always want to be able to see your guide underneath it, because that tells you where to cut your next section with the razor without cutting the underneath. Because with the razor, you're cutting on top of your finger, not below your finger. So you want to make sure that section is, you can see it, slightly pull past it, and then adjust your stroke accordingly.
So one thing I like about cutting hair, when people wear their hair to the sides, is cutting it in the middle gives them that little layer on the side that's really cute and very Penelope, right? Penelope Cruz.
Karina Cruz.
Karina Cruz, my sister.
Karina Cruz.
All right, so now let's check to see how that looks in the back. So tilt your head back for me. I didn't cut it in the back at all. Yeah, so she's already got some layers, right? Except for in Crown Town. Which you don't even have to cut. You wouldn't even have to cut anymore. You could just leave this like, this is the very first haircut I learned when I was with my Sassoon person that I trained under for a while, was this haircut. And so she had me doing this on everyone. And it was mostly with curly hair or wavy hair. And it just looks really beautiful instead of doing that. Right, this looks good with straighter hair, I think. and not as good with curly hair or wavy hair. Okay, cool. So I can do my signature now. So I can go in there and I can do a little layer in the crown, okay? The little layer in the crown.
Yeah. That's the hard part, right? Is layering with the razor. You're like, how do I do it? Oh, it feels weird. I'm going to pick up my scissor. I'm good with that.
Yeah. Especially when you're trying to round out around the head, right? Because you're like, oh, look at that. I am not going to cut my finger today. Yes?
This is the area I get confused about when I'm doing shags. This area right here is where I get a little bit lost. Yeah, like crown and below, like how much to layer it.
What ends up happening?
When I'm doing shags, yeah.
What ends up happening? Like what is it that you do that you go,
I guess I'm not quite sure once I get to that point what I'm supposed to do. Like, am I supposed to layer it all, bring it up? So yeah, it's just like that area. Like, not quite sure where.
You can do, there's so many choices, right? With your shags. You got to take a shag class. We do like 7 different shags and 7 different approaches.
It's really fun. Yeah.
But you can make, and it all depends on suitability, right? So here I'm going to kind of work to, it's just it's a diamond shape, and I'm starting from right above crown to O-bone and then wide points. And so I'm just going to soften this a little. I also want to cut this stuff off, okay? Her hair is a little bit too dry for me to cut, so I'm going to wet just the ends. I don't want to wet everything because I'm almost done, and I'm going to...
Karina.
Yes,
Something that I learned from you was collecting the hair and then getting back on the right side of the head. Correct? Like when you're picking up the hair.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's like
Let me
huge.
talk about the upward stroke now that you mentioned that. So when you're cutting upward, you want to be cutting away from your body most of the time. This thing, cutting like this toward yourself, might happen once in a while just because, let me get that piece real quick. But generally, we want to learn to do it like this, so we're cutting away from ourselves. It's the safest and feels the best, okay? So if you're cutting layers over here and you're cutting layers over here, you stand on the same side to cut all of the layers. And this is if you're doing like concave, right? Like you're doing, yeah. If you're doing front to back, you stand in front on this side. If you're doing back to front, you stand on the other side. Does that make sense?
Yes, question.
You said it was safest. Do you mean safest for your fingers or safest for preservation of length or control of the razor?
Safest for your body, yeah. Yeah, cutting away from it.
For your fingers too, yeah, so you don't cut your finger.
And your face, and
or
your wrist.
Cut your wrist unintentionally.
Not today. All right. So I'm going from my shortest guide, and then I'm going to work out to my length. So I have to find where my length is. There it is, okay? And I'm holding it out at the crown. So I'll start here, big strokes.
See how her arm is lifted, that she's holding it so she can get under her body, right? You gotta get under yourself to get the right rhythm. Yeah. You gotta like do that yoga.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
You gotta get down.
Because you don't want to you don't want to sacrifice the haircut for your comfort, right? Like you want to make sure you're like
in it.
What are the 3 things that create a strong line? Number one, tension. Number 2, that you're perpendicular to the hair. Number 3,
the edge.
Those are too short, so I don't really have anything to cut. I could just do a little short to long there. Did you see that? All right. So I won't have anything over here either, but I'm just going to check because that's how I am. Gathering the hair with my large teeth, right? And then right before I cut, I will do this. Wait. there's my guide. So I combed it wrong probably. Okay, over directing to the center, looking for my guide. Oh yeah, because I'm holding it out here, that's why. See? Just a little bit. You see my guide? Some of you might be thinking,
Pay attention to how just before she cuts it, she does like a little wiggle to loosen up the guide hair and only cut the new hair. Isn't that cool? That's really cool. To see how she does that? And their stuff falls away.
Just
Then
so
she
I'm
sees
cutting.
the hair that she needs to cut.
Yeah, so there it was. It was just a little guy. But look how gorge, right? So gorge. Now I'll go to the front and do my little weight removal. So I'll pick up the area that needs it. Remember it? First, let's put a little product in there. I'm going to put a little surf and a little bit of just surf only at the root because I'm going to style her and I'm going to be done in a second. Watch. You watch. A little, and I like to put a little in the bang. And then, what was the thing I wanted? Grooming cream. So, yes. Just a little bit.
Do you cut with a lot of product in the hair?
Do I cut with a lot of product in the hair?
Or do you cut with product in the hair?
You can, yeah. If it adds like some grip, maybe you need a little extra grip in there, or maybe you're going to hand style. Today we're going to be hand styling hair. So you want to think about your overall look. I'm thinking about, remember I said I want to take care of her flyaways. So I'm putting that on her ends, but not at her roots. At her roots, where her hair's shiny and healthy, I'm putting in a little surf. But I won't be cutting at her roots, so it's okay. And grooming cream is a lot like water or lotion.
What is surf?
Water lotion.
What is surf?
What is surf? Surf, go ahead, you take that.
Surf is surf spray from Bumble and Bumble, and it's just a texturizing spray that has salt in it that gives hair more of a matte finish. And she's choosing to put it at the root where her client's naturally really shiny and new hair and really healthy to kind of rough it up so she gets some lift and some movement from it.
So you do that before and after blow dry?
Yes. Before, you can use it before to blow dry into the hair, and sometimes you could use it after to kind of break up your blowout too. Yeah. Yep.
Took a little bit of that corner off in that bang, just so it moves. It's not quite as heavy there. And this is what I do for my clients. I just move the bangs around and I look for anything that my eye goes to, like where my eye went there. So then I'll grab that piece and I'll just take a little bit of weight out right in front. It's still the same length, it's just not as heavy. I need a little bit more grooming cream, you see, on those ends. I mostly just got her ends down here, but I want some in the bang too. So I'll take a little bit more.
And grooming cream is moisturizing. It's like hand lotion for the hair. So she's putting it on the places where she wants a little bit more suppleness in the hair without wetting the hair back down.
Do you see what's happening too? Like she's looking in the mirror and she's like, ooh, I need that product. What is she putting in my hair? Like, look how it changes my hair, right? It's just very evident. She can see it working. And I'm explaining to her that it only goes on your ends.
That smells really good.
Clients want to be educated. They
I kind of
want
like
to know.
these like chunky pieces, you know, these chunky layers. It just reminds me of like 90s layers, right?
Kate Moss.
Yeah, so she doesn't need a lot more. I feel like once it's good, you know, don't keep doing it. Like, well, I need more. I have to tell myself that, you know, like it's good, leave it alone. You can cut hair forever.
One of our mentors at Bumble would always say to us, was it good 15 minutes ago? Did you take it too far? You're like, I did. I hate it now.
All right, I'm gonna use medium heat and medium pressure. And I'm just gonna dry that surf spray. So this layer works on almost every single person. Really thick hair, except for lots more weight removal. I'm gonna turn it up. Lots more weight removal on thick hair. You know, you really gotta release that weight for the thicker hair. But for hair that doesn't need a lot, then don't do a lot. That's the thing about suitability that I want you to learn, is that I might do a haircut this way, but you'll do it a different way, yeah? Depending on who. Your stroke might be big, really big. You might have way more sections than my model. But
we want you to be present with the haircut and not go on autopilot, right? If you're there, you're present, then you're realizing, oh, I may be doing something similar to the demo, but what's going to work best on my model today? Maybe I need to take another section. Maybe I need to adjust it.
So medium heat at the roots, and then I'm switching all the way to cold to finish this off, because I don't want my curl to go away. If there's cold air hitting a curl, it's not going to change the curl. It might make it a little more fuzzy, but you can bring it back. But if you apply heat to it, you're going to stretch out her curl and it's going to look a little straighter. So I'm using cold air only just to finish the dry.
I feel like I learned that from you.
Yeah, right? Like switching up your using these. Because I remember when I first started blow drying, I never used the different
It was always
heats.
hot,
It
like
was always
boiling
high
hot.
heat.
Yeah.
I'm in a rush. You know?
Yeah.
I'm going to get this dry. But the high heat sometimes will jack up the hair. It'll make it look like overly dry.
Overstretched out and yeah.
Okay, so look how luscious her waves look.
So good.
Luscious. I'm just gonna put a tiny bit more. The tiniest amount, because I don't want her hair to get weighed down too much. But is it kind of cool that I didn't have to do that length? It worked out. Why? Probably because I brought it low.
Yeah.
So the thought, you know, you have to think, if I did everything up high, it would go down to a little point.
Little spindly ends.
Which is cute if you want it, right? Think about your shags when that, you know. You might want a little spindly little length.
Shag. Where there's two hairs in the back when she puts it behind her shoulders. You're like, oh, it looks great like that.
Okay, y'all. It's done.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Cool. So, did you guys want a picture? You just stand right here for me in the light, ring light. If you guys want to grab a picture really quick. Oh no, you're good. It looks beautiful. Fun. I love that technique.
I love it.
All right. So, Georgia, will you fold this up too when you're done? So next we're going to have our two bob models. Come up. Our bob models. And I'm going to hand this over. We have a little mini break right now while we switch models over.
Is that cool?
Is everyone ready for some bobs?
Do
Ready.
you want me to go first,
Go
sweetie?
first, sweetie.
All right. Hello. I already forgot your name. I'm so sorry. This is Summer, my beautiful model, who has so much density and texture. And the texture also changes quite a bit as it moves through the head shape. I was really paying attention to her hairlines and just looking at what kind of movement is in there. And I noticed that right at her crown, just below her crown actually, it's so dense and a little bit of different texture, a little bit more kinky right there. So I'm thinking about all of these things as I'm deciding what length I'm gonna give her, because she's super open. So she was like, whatever you wanna do. I was like, so this is a good time to really pay attention to the head shape. So as I'm looking at the density, I'm also feeling her head shape. And looking at all of the different growth patterns, I noticed it was a very strong part here to the left. And I was like, oh, do you part your hair over here? And she was like, no, what are you talking about? But to me, that seemed so strong. And that's such an important thing about bob for balance at the end. So what I came up with was a really rad little short bob, as short as I can go, considering how low her hairline is. Because I really have to take this into account to keep it still a bob. Anything above that, it's going to turn into a graduated bob. I'm going to be thinking about, as I go, my density, the weight removal, and my stroke. So you might see that I'm going to change my stroke and how much weight I'm taking within one section. I really want to detail this to her, especially because of all of her different variations of texture. And then she's really open to having like any length of bang. Like, I don't know, I'm going to decide after I see how short we go. Because part of me thinks it'd be cute to have really short baby bangs, 90s, but part of me think it might be nice to just add more hair and keep them a bit longer and change the shape. Yeah. Any questions so far? Cool. I'm gonna wet her down just so that I have really consistent moisture from roots to ends the whole time, and a little tiny tidget conditioner. Come with me.
This is Allison.
Oh.
Hi. And Allison has a finer hair texture. I'm really excited. So in our consultation, we talked about length choices, and we're going to take it short. The reference that I have in mind is Christy Turlington from the 90s. You guys remember Christy Turlington from the 90s? How she had this kind of really like mouth grazing. So we were playing around with it and kind of deciding like where we wanted it to sit, you know, so something like around maybe even like mouth, you know, right? Like up there. I'm gonna start this, because her hair texture is fine. Let's take a look at if she has any growth pattern issues or density. Not really, it's super moldable. There's not a lot of activity happening here. She does have a little bit of a squirrel right there, but not really.
A squirrel?
A squirrel. And
I love it.
Since we are taking it shorter, you always want to look at the hairline, right? So the hairline can sometimes dictate where your length choice is going to be. So I'm going to take mine right to her hairline. There's still going to be a bob. I don't want graduation, so I have to make sure that I don't elevate too much, otherwise I'll build up graduation really easily with the razor. So dropping my section slightly past my guide allows for it to still hang at one length. I'll probably do some weight removal pretty much just behind the ear, because this is where most of her density is living on her, and in front of the ear she's pretty fine, and this is where I want to create most of my strength and my length there. I'm going to section out the whole crown section. So I'm going to take a section from where Karina talked about Bangtown and then moving into Crowntown. So this is all going to come out, because this is going to be the section that I get to have some fun with to flop around my bob. So underneath will be quite, you know, precise. Then the top will let me play around with how much overhang I want and how much overhang I don't want. And then Karina came up with a brilliant idea of
Aw.
The underneath should
Yes, you
slightly
do.
round. Then the top above it should slightly go this way. And that's really cool because it allows for the jumpiness of her cowlick and it doesn't end up getting shorter than the length. Right? So you're paying attention to how much it's going to lift and cutting it slightly that allows for it to still kind of sit around that place and not become total like Dutch boy haircut, which could be cool, but not today. So I think we're going to wash her because her hair feels a little bit oily. It's fine and it probably gets really quite quick. So if we could wash her, that would be awesome. Too, yeah, with whatever you want to use. Cool. Questions? So 2 bobs. One has a lot of hair, so it's going to be cool to see these 2 different approaches. Right, a lot of dense hair and a finer texture. So pay attention, I guess, to how we're really using the blade, right? Like, okay, what stroke is she doing? What stroke am I doing? All that good stuff, because it's cool to see side-by-side demos and then notice the differences as well as the similarities.
Oh yeah. Thank you. All right, so I'm just gonna start right off with some grooming cream. I like cutting with product because it gives me control over the hair. And sometimes it gives me like the extra, like Karina said, grip I need, but also a slide that I'm gonna need for her hair. So I'm anticipating it just drying really fast. Starting from underneath and before I even comb, I'm really gonna use my hands to start moving her hair around, looking at her head shape and her growth patterns. Before I even set up.
I just wanted to point out that, Nicholas, did you know that the screen is custom to you?
Who? Me?
Yeah, you're the tallest educator that will be here, and we made it custom to you so that it won't ever get in your eyes.
What does that mean?
That's a true story.
Nice.
Well, how tall is Nicholas?
So my head doesn't go like line of light right here, which used to happen at Bumble, line of light. I was like, get out of the light. Thank you. I'm like backing away. Like,
so cute.
Kate is in the spotlight.
What's that?
You're in the spotlight.
I'm in the spotlight. I don't like it. So as I'm kind of combing her out, sorry, move this chair. There, stick. I'm taking just these diagonal sections because again, I'm looking at the hairline, and what I'm thinking is I will be setting in the nape slightly, and instead of starting with just a classic horizontal section, I'm going to do a diagonal section right in the back, so that at the end, the bob's going to lay more flat and square. She won't get that dog ear like weight right there. So I'll kind of take care of that right away. And I'm going to be combing a ton with her because of her texture, and so I don't run into maybe something that happened with that girl you were talking about. I really want to keep my tension super tight the whole time. So I might be like cutting in a second, but I'll be combing for a long time. It's also going to set up my styling for the end. It's just keeping it really smooth. It'll give me less to do when I style. Is everybody cutting a lot of bobs right now? What's right? What lengths are people asking for? That word, lob. What do you need?
A little bit of that milk.
What's milk?
That Reverie, that black bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Right here. So I'm just adding a little bit of moisture to her, and I'm going to keep my moisture away from the root and really just on the ends because I know that her hair picks up oil quite fast. So really keeping it just to help detangle and spreading it through with just my fingers allows me to really feel where I want to add some more softness to her hair.
And that product, I feel like it's a nice light leave-in. It's not too heavy. Grooming cream will give you a little more weight where that doesn't, right? It's nice, yeah. So really picking products based on suitability is so key.
And that was my thought. I didn't want to use grooming cream, so I was like looking what's over there.
Also, we have stuff in the back. If you guys don't see something you want, let us know.
Awesome.
So I'm combing, and this is my time just to familiarize myself with my client. It just is. I like to comb, and I can feel like where the wideness is, where the smallness is, where the smallness is back there. And I'm thinking about a bob where I want to keep weight, where I want to remove weight. So I'm just going to work off of her natural part. It's like happening right here. And then from there, I'm going to section from just below her swirl. See that little activity right there? I'm going to section just below that so I don't keep it in the place that I want to keep. It's like strong. I'm going to work with that later. And then I'm going to section from that really around to her recession and scoop that out of the way.
I'm putting in a fresh blade, and then I'm really going to be paying attention to my body position, especially in these corners right here because of the back of the tool. I might get a little funny, but I'm really going to open up my client's neck because I want to have a lot of elevation and over direction all at once because I want to keep this really soft. And I am going to subsection here. Is that a good? So I want to use the flat of the blade. So what does the flat do? It takes out the most amount of weight. I want it to be really seamless and soft, no line, childlike.
And I just like to put the head down and just look and see for balance.
I'm taking my time with it. And I want to see how the hair reacts before I go further. I might need some like primer.
Do you want water or something like a prep or a tonic?
Yeah, anything like that, yeah.
Okay, Misty, can you grab a prep or tonic from the back and bring that up?
Thank you, Sam.
So I'm going to start my haircut from the front. Do you guys do that? Like your bobs? You guys do, why do you like it? Totally. This is your length. Or like you're like, if you cut it, you're like, oh shoot, I wish it, or like I wanted a half an inch shorter. You're like, oh, okay, I have to go back to the whole thing again. So starting in the front allows me to place it and then get their reaction to it. Do you like this? Do you like that? And then we can just go from there. And for me, like it's the biggest impact. I'm like, oh yeah, let's do it. Let's get to the fun part now. And instead of like going to the back. And
yeah, I like that too.
Yeah. So I'm going to take a section that just mirrors her hairline, so pretty much an inch back to in front of the ear. Comb this down, and that's where I'm going to set in my length. Right there. Got to clean off the razor. So I like to tilt the head back like Karina did, so there's not so much elevation because I'm tall. Right. So I'm going to take it, and I'm looking at her face. Like my hands do what they do, but I'm looking at her face. So I'm going to place it right here. So just with a very small stroke. So you can even see here how it was slightly broader. Then when I got to the front, I really slowed it down to make this part a nice strong edge. Go ahead.
Kate, where are you at over there?
I'm just still taking down her hairline. I was kind of waiting a little bit for some of the primer. Sorry, Dad. Oh, thank you. Just because I feel like the hair needs a bit more moisture so I can see what direction I'm going. And I just want to set this in, but I want to make sure it will grow out really naturally. I'm not trying to like give her a 90s undercut. And I'm taking my time and paying attention to where the growth patterns are. So I am changing around a lot, but I want to tailor it to her. And she has so many different like ups and down swirls.
That length is so beautiful on her.
I love it.
Yeah, I know she's got tiny little features.
Now she lives in Williamsburg.
Oh my God.
She's done.
No.
She's done. That's it.
The Charlie Fraser.
Yeah. Oh. Next class. Okay, so for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this guide here to lead me to the back. So now my sections are going to become slightly more diagonal. Right? So I'm going to go from here to the back corner and just connect my line. Then I'm going to keep working my sections in that diagonal pattern, crossing till I get to center. And what that does, it gives me a guide waiting on the other side when I go back to this side. So it's fun. It's a neat way of sectioning. Yeah. Not much elevation, because if I elevate her hair texture, it's going to graduate immediately. And the stroke of your blade can graduate hair without even knowing it, right? Because the razor bevels the edge of the hair off. So that bevel is graduation. It's not blunt like a scissor. So I want to make sure that I'm not going super like strong strokes right through here when I want to keep it more solid looking.
I'm going to release some weight right now. So I have some elevation, and then I'm going to drop my elevation as low as I can go to keep small strokes and more of a structured edge. And I'm really turning my fingers here so that I can stay on the edge. And I'm doing a few sections on this side because for me it helps really show me the length that I'm going to, and also for me it helps balance, but you can of course go back and forth.
So I take a bit from over the ear, that bump right there, and I bring it to in front of the ear and cut my guide. Then I'll take this piece and bring it behind the ear, and that will lead me to the back. So I don't have to worry about that losing or getting a hole. So just combing where the hair lives, it's really important. Strong tension, I see my guide. Then I give myself some room so my razor can move. Like I'm not all choked up on my hand. I let my hand drop so my blade has the freedom to work its stroke. Then I take this here, move it there. And if there's like a little bit like that that you're unhappy with, you can just pinch it can just kick it like that.
Yeah, you don't try to grab it.
Yeah.
Just grab it.
Just pinch her. Yeah. This comb is so big, it's so weird. It's like the longest comb in the world.
It's like the only comb. It's the only comb I can use.
What?
Anymore.
Do you want to switch?
You're crazy.
You guys can switch combs if you want.
You want to?
Do you want this one?
I just don't. If you want to switch?
No, it's okay.
That's like the best comb, Nicholas. I don't know what you're talking about.
I hate it.
It's like I started using it because my YS Parks combs started breaking. Is that me, or is that something that happens?
Breaking?
All
How
the
would
Yeah,
they
they
break?
just snap in half.
Me too.
Thank you. I'm just combing hair up, you know, like girls with hair like mine or yours, you know, just comb it up. It's like snap.
They get what? They slip in the quads?
I never do that.
I never disinfect my
Come on,
combs.
what's that?
Just
Just
kidding.
kidding.
What's the blue stuff? Yeah.
Has State Board ever been to the salons in New York to check on you guys and give you fines? Really? Oh.
Really, they don't?
They did to your place. Did you guys get a bunch of fines? Oh. Oh, that's cool. They're really bad here. They're on top of everything here, like everything.
I've never
Different.
What are some tips to
Girl. Allow a little bit of distance from your guide.
What are, sorry, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Who is asking the question?
What are some tips to avoid cutting yourself? Or the client, since you guys are doing bobs right now?
Oh my gosh.
I have a tip. My number one tip is pay attention.
Yes,
That's
be present.
the number one tip. Be present. Know that you're holding a sharp object and respect it.
Yeah.
And fear it a little bit. And then you won't be like,
And go slow. I mean, the tool, no guard, makes you present. You can't be thinking about your lunch or, you know. Sometimes you come with a guarded razor like, dude, let's get through it. This you can't, you know?
It's true.
This you can't. You gotta be like here, okay, watching it.
that line looks really good.
You like it?
Yeah, I do.
Am I hired? Am I hired right now?
You're
I
hired.
love it.
Question.
So the difference between the straight razor and a guarded razor, how dramatically different is it?
Oh, that was what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I like what you said, Kate, about that. And I like that you
I
said
remember.
you said you should try them side by side. So you should, you know, take a section and use your guarded, and then take that same person and use your straight. And see what it feels like, but also we can explain. I feel like the unguarded razor is much sharper, and it just cuts much cleaner, and you don't have to go back in and scissor cut all the fuzzies on the ends. And then what do you guys think? Anything to add?
I use more of the blade with this because the blade's not covered with anything. Like I can really start to whittle that shape in, right? And also because there's no guard, it's not pushing the hair out of my fingers. I feel like I lose tension faster with the guarded because as I'm cutting, sometimes you use the blade and sometimes there's a guard there. So I feel like I'm pushing hair as opposed to cutting through the hair.
Yeah. More dexterity, fine tuning. It's actually easier too once you get over the, straight blade. Yeah, I feel like people cut themselves more with scissors, to be honest,
Yeah.
I still cut myself with scissors.
Oh, yeah.
It just those little V cuts.
Oh, that looks cool.
Yeah, what are you doing,
Sorry,
Kate?
I was like, I am getting
Will you
into.
turn her around a little too?
Yeah, you have to tell me about that. I was trying to figure out the best angles. My bum's not here. I'm getting into just like the meat of the hair now. As I was working up, I was releasing the weight and putting my length in at the same time, checking for balance. And now I really want to kind of just put my length in. So I'm going to do one more section before I transition into the side fully. I'm going to do my heel side because that's harder for me. That's the side I usually tend to keep longer. So I always do my harder side first.
That's a great tip. I like that. Then
So-
you can match the easier side instead of trying to match with the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When you're removing the weight, are you, okay, this is going to be hard to explain, but are you taking the direction of the weight removal, being mindful of how the hair is going to move, and like, is it going to come together at the back or split apart by which side of your section you take the weight? Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So I feel like you're asking me like, do I change how I do my weight removal?
Yeah, like right side, left side, when you're going through the section. The subsection, like
yes,
on one side to the other side of the head?
I do, but right now I'm keeping it really classic. So I'm just taking out weight from the inside out. So I'm going to place the razor into the hair, kind of find out where it's like catching, and then a slight angle. Say I want to stay on the edge, and that will change throughout. But there are times that I change back and forth using the heel or the tip. And I'm also really paying attention to where the hair needs the weight removal. And so sometimes I'm going to be taking out more and less. Yeah, does that
Because
make
where
sense?
you are
Yeah.
now, that you said you're kind of in the meat of the hair. This is an area where I feel like, I don't know how you feel, where I can go even higher up with my weight removal because I can hide it in there.
So the only reservation I have with her texture is because that kind of gets a little kicky right there. I'm afraid that would give me too much volume right here. You know, because there is a fine line for me where if I release too much weight on really dense hair, I almost get more volume where someone's fine.
Opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially because
on that
we would know
length,
how to
too.
style it, but she
Yeah.
wouldn't necessarily have the best time with that.
Right,
At home
yeah.
herself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I find that, well, sometimes I would remove weight and cut at the same time. And do you find that there's a difference between doing that and then just removing weight first, then cutting?
I like to remove my weight first because I really see the overall density. I think that it really depends on where you're at as well. But I take my weight out first and then I remove my length. I like to get rid of it and then see what I have left, and that could change my whole stroke.
Totally.
You know, so what do you think?
Yeah. I also think that when you take your weight out first, you draw past your length line. If you cut the length first, then you're kind of stopping right above your length because you have to hold the hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, so mine's just really simple. I'm just cutting a one length haircut on her, and just the nature of her hair is creating a bevel. And the just using the razor is creating that bevel. I don't even have to make it happen really for her. Yeah.
So pretty.
It's beautiful.
So are you dropping any of your next layer down longer, and then that's creating more of a bevel too, right?
Yes, so I have to make sure that I drop it down longer, otherwise she'll have a graduated haircut.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. I still want it to feel one length, but because you're using a razor, it does make that little.
So if you were using the razor and you wanted it to be really shelfy and brushy, what would you do?
I probably would cut to my guide, not
Cool.
past my guide.
Okay. And it wouldn't get shorter as it dried.
Well, you'd have to watch your tension.
Yeah,
You know,
tension.
and where you
There we
are
go.
on the head shape. Like I'd probably loosen my tension once I'm past the round of the head. like I have strong tension here, but once I'm passed around to the head, the hair is going to move over this curve, which is going to puff it out more. Yeah, thank you. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, sorry.
And sometimes for me, which you actually asked right when I was getting into it in my mind, is I can vary it. So sometimes I'll cut to my length, and then sometimes the next section, then I'll drop slightly. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it gives it a little bit more texture on the bottom, but still not having an overhang.
Wait, I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah, so sometimes I'll do one section where I cut to the section, and then the next one I'll drop. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it gives it a little bit more
And then will you
variation.
go back, like, the next one would be like maybe to that
To
one
that,
that you
yes.
dropped?
Yes.
And then, okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because it kind of breaks it up. Because I feel like a lot of times, especially in the beginning, people overthink the dropping the section.
Yeah.
And then you get this like undercut tail thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's really more about feeling where your section is and working right up to that. Does that make sense? Sorry. I can't talk today. Or ever.
Okay, I'm going to start on the other side. I like that. I think that looks cool.
Yeah, I like that front little guy that just curves toward her lip.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. That's cool. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Great. I noticed on the very first sections at the hairline, I don't know if it's the view, but it looked like the blade was coming more on the surface versus like on the side. What was your reasoning for that surface?
So that's like a time that, especially in the beginning of using the razor, the only time we really use the flat of the blade, because the flat of the blade is going to remove the most amount of hair, right? So in this situation, I really wanted to collapse all of her hairlines, but not shave her head. And to me, it like works from short to long, right? So it's like hugging her hair. Yeah.
Kind of like a mini graduation a little bit, right? Or like a mini layer.
Totally, mini
Right.
graduation. I like that.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you do, Nicholas, to create balance when you go to your other side of your bob?
Try to remember where I placed it on the first side. So not think about the inches, but think about where I put it on the face.
So like
always-
lip to
yeah.
ear or whatever
Yeah.
you're doing,
Ear
remember?
to mouth, jaw to chin, wherever, you know? And then you look. And if it's slightly off, it's still cool. That was always hard. That was a hard thing for me to let go of. Was the measuring, because I come from that like Sassoon background. Just to let go of that and
Come at it from a different perspective.
yeah, more of a feeling perspective and be okay with, you know, quirkiness in your haircut. And not every line has to match up perfectly. And that lends itself to the randomness, specialness that I like about my haircuts once I started to let go of that control.
My question's for Kate. So I see as you're taking out your weight first and then going into your length, but I see you kind of like pushing the hair up. Is that so where you can see where the wave is, where you're like, okay, so this pumps together, this is weight that I need to remove?
Exactly. So as I'm kind of bending my fingers, I'm seeing where that hair bends, and if I go beyond that, what's going to happen? Right. So I really want to make sure I stay below that. And I don't do that every time I take out weight, but in these really crazy zones where it can change everything. Also right now, you maybe noticed that I just took a diagonal section again behind the ear, and I'm again just rounding this off.
Yeah, I saw you kind of taking your blade a little bit flatter. Is that so you don't get like the little dog ear behind the ear, like heaviness? So you're taking out the most?
The most amount right here, exactly.
Okay.
And then as I drop my fingers down, as low as I can go, keeping the hair in my fingers, that's so I can keep it one length. With, you know, because the razor will give slight graduation if you cut to your next section, and that's kind of what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm mesmerized.
So now as I'm circling around the head shape, I see my guide from the other side. So now I have like connection points between the front and the back to work on balancing that way.
So I'm keeping some grooming cream on the back of my hand because her hair is so dense, and sometimes I have a hard time getting through it with the razor. So I'm making sure my tension is nice and even and flat, and that it's really moisturized for her.
Can you guys see how tight she's holding that hair and how she keeps getting her, making sure that she's holding it really tightly? She uses her other hand and then she grabs with the other hand, and that's the one thing I want you really to focus on today and hands-on is getting nice, good, tight, even tension before you go into cut.
And I'm also walking around the head, excuse me. I don't want to create too much of an A-line, so I'm really going to start inching forward. That's important, and changing her head shape. Sorry.
I have a question for Kate. Do you ever cut past your knuckles?
Do I ever cut past my
the
knuckles? I don't know.
Here.
Do I?
Yes.
Yeah, right?
What is the difference with cutting before just small strokes or past it?
Oh, so if you're saying
Yeah,
like if I was here?
Right.
That would give, what would that happen? It would be a really broad stroke. So that's going to take a lot of weight out and keep the line really soft. So I want to create more of a heavy blunt kind of shape. So I'm keeping them as short as I can go to have that. And then relying on my weight removal for the softness. It just would change the look.
I try and not cut past my knuckle because I lose tension past my knuckle. My second knuckle, like I can't grab it here. And it's really easy to just be like, oh, I'm just gonna do it. I don't want to take another section, but you have to. Because you'll have a different section here than here. This tends to be more scrapey because you're pushing it. You're trying to get there, then your blade rotates flat. And then you have one side that's like flippy, and one side that's really nice.
Yeah,
Like
that's
like
what my
this.
bobs looked like. Like my first year using the razor, I'd have one really flippy side, and the other side would be like nice and blunt.
Yes.
Like, what's going on? And it was my edge side that was blunt, and my tip side that was really soft. So you have to think about how when you change from your heel to your tip, you want to have that same
See that right there?
control.
I'm holding that hair past my knuckle. I could easily just keep going, but I don't want to do that, right? That's like the lazy side of me. It says, just do it. Then the good angel's like, don't do it. You're in front of people. Just do it.
Just do it.
You know? So you can even just like subsection that out and only try and hold what's in front of your front knuckle, especially on the heel side, to get the razor's edge to work for you.
Can you explain, can you hear me? Can you explain how you get to the edge on this side versus this side in this little area in this space?
Yep. So I'm holding it like this. The thing that I have to do is we have to open that door.
So he can be perpendicular to his section.
So I'm still holding, like my line is still where I want it. That doesn't change. My tension is strong. I have to open the door to get my hand behind my other hand.
See how that blade is perpendicular to the hair?
You don't want to be like this, because then you're doing flat work when you should be doing edge work.
So in a tight little bob like this, it gets a little difficult, but that's gonna help. Just because there's not a lot of space there.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna have short bobs today, or long bobs, or long layers, just so you know. All of these techniques that you're seeing can be used on all of those haircuts.
This is fun, Karina.
Isn't it though?
Meow.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I know why I did that, but I did appropriate.
Did you say meow?
Meow.
My daughter's starting to say animal sounds.
Oh my God.
And I love it because she still messes up. Like, I'll be like, what's the cow say? She's like, meow.
So cute.
That's amazing.
I'm like, no.
So now I'm really like crossing over so I can really work with balance, because if you don't, then you end up with a point, right? So you want to make sure you cross over so you don't get that point like on her hair. Yeah. Yes. So I'm not bringing the hair, I'm just cutting from where it lives. Right? That's not changing. Just my sectioning is allowing me to see around the head shape. I'm not pulling it out here, pulling it back here. I still cut it where it lives, as you would on a bob, natural fall. Yes.
I just realized there was a mirror right there. I kept trying to use that as a mirror like Bumble days, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, God.
There is a mirror there. We put those in recently.
That's great.
Where? Oh, hi.
Oh, hi, I'm cute.
Oh my God, looks mage.
I'm going to change my blade, actually.
Last time I cut with Kate, we were in Denver. We drove out to Boulder and did
What
mushrooms. Just
salon?
kidding.
What salon were you at?
Mushrooms, just kidding.
Oh, that was
Clementine salon?
You're blocking your girl. Oh, wait. No, we changed the view, so you're good. Oh, my darling.
Oh, my darling Clementine.
Did you do something similar in that class? Is that why you're thinking about it?
I did, right? Didn't we both do... No, you did a long layer.
Yes.
So I'm doing a little bit of a broader stroke, right where all that hair comes together, right where the meatiness of her hair in the back is. It's not here. It's not behind her ear. It's here. So this is where I can get away with a broader stroke. Then I tighten my stroke where I want more weight to happen. So the razor for me is just, I try and think about where I want to strengthen and where I want to soften. And that tells me how to adjust my stroke accordingly. Like when Karina's long layer, she had to soften. Then when she got down here, she strengthened. So it has some strength at the bottom. I try and keep that in mind.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you might have already covered this, but you know, when you were working in that same place, the section beforehand,
Yeah.
you said that you weren't going to use the flat of the blade. And sometimes I end up doing that because I'm still a new razor user, and I just kind of feel like maybe I'm cheating when I'm doing that. I always do it when I'm cutting my first incision on the fringe. So why would you not want, when would you use the flat around the ear or on the perimeter, and when would you not?
When I use the flat is when I want to think about melting the line into the skin.
Okay.
Erasing the line, essentially, because the flat is like shaving off the hair, so you don't get any strength left. And that can work well, like for her haircut, where she wants those first couple sections to melt into the skin or almost disappear, so her haircut can sit on top of it. That's when I would choose to use the flat, when I don't want really a lot of strength, or if I'm in a place where I'm working with hairlines, and I want to like really shift the hairline direction or go with it.
Like to make a ribbon?
Yeah, it's almost like to undercut it, I would use the flat. Then this stuff can sit on top of it and still be strong.
Right.
That's when I'd want to use the flat of the blade. There's so many different ways, but in today's class, flat will erase and edge will give you strength. Yeah. There's other times where we're using flat work, but that's more advanced type of stuff.
Is that all right? I'm sorry. Keep your head nice and straight now. Yeah. You're fine. I know, I'm like.
If you guys get to an important area that you want to talk about, let us know.
Let me know.
Yeah.
So for her hairline, you pulled the corners out this way. Are you always doing that? Or does it depend on where it's like spinning? Because sometimes it like all spins.
Exactly.
It's all spinny. Where do you go?
So I go for the hair direction, and I want to have elevation to keep it soft. And so the reason that I took that diagonal section and held it up this way is so that I can work from the flat inwards like this, so that that can really tuck in, so you get that weight right there.
Okay.
Does that make sense? And you want to go with the growth pattern as well.
Okay. So if like this side was going this way, would you pull it this way?
Yes, absolutely. You want to like, that's why I kind of like move around a lot, and it seems like crazy, but I really want to work for that moment in the hair. Okay. It's going to change, yeah. What do you need?
Thank you. Just a touch of grooming cream on the hair that I've cut while I work on the hair that I haven't cut. Allows this to stay kind of supple and moisturized while I work on the top section. So instead of like wetting it with more product and then me not be able to see the shape anymore, I'll use the moisture that's in that product to keep it soft and supple.
I love it so much. It's so cute.
And I'm gonna love it when it like dries behind her ear, and then she'll really have that little thingy majiggy. Oh, it's like almost kind of done. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna bring down my top. I'm gonna section out the hair that I've cut and just keep it out of my way by just moving it back, right? And bring all this stuff down. And then I'm like setting it. You see I'm like kind of combing it and pushing it, kind of like so it sits into itself. So it's like molding to the head
like
while I work on
styling,
this. Yeah. So styling as we go, right? And then the client's like, oh, I like what's happening. It's always looking good while you're doing the haircut. Okay.
Kate, that length is so good.
So good.
In my mind, I kind of wanted it to be a little shorter, but honestly, with her hairline, it would have to change the whole look.
Yeah, and also it will shrink up when it dries too.
Oh, absolutely.
So with this front section, I'm going to subsection the front section. So I'm just going to subsection it like that. Then use my bob line and go longer in the front.
So I know that you changed your razor. I'm still new to using a razor. Like obviously, like if it starts giving you more resistance, you'd be like, okay, it's time to change. Like how? I mean, I guess I don't even know what that feels like to know to
Right.
be like, okay,
Change
it's time
it.
to change. Yeah. So I mean, is it common to change your razor in a haircut, depending on like the density and the texture? Like more than once, more than twice, or is it kind of?
If I've started with, let's say, an older razor, and I find that it's just not giving me what I want, I need a little bit more precision out of it, I may change it to a fresher razor to get the effect that I want. That's one example of changing it mid. I err on the side of more of a used-in razor because I really can feel it. A sharper razor for me cuts the hair off too quickly. I'm like, oh, it's gone. Okay. You know? But that depends on every single person, I feel, you know?
And sometimes you'll find actually, that, and this has been happening to me with this box, that some of my boxes are really
They're
dull.
bad, yeah.
This one has been like, I've been like, what? It's just like once in a while that happens.
yeah.
It's very rare that I ever change it twice in one haircut, but yeah.
Things that happen. So then you're like, okay, this is just not the best box.
Ooh, love.
I love it.
Cutting hair is so fun, right?
It's fun.
It's like the best job.
I think so.
Yeah.
Totally.
So I'm just creating now some space in this top section that's going to hang over, right? Because I still want to be able to see through this weight to my underneath. And if I didn't take out weight, it'd sit like a flap, which can be cool. I'm doing an undercut, you want like a skater flap, whatever. But I still want to like punch some holes in that piece of fabric, if you will.
So it's a little more melty.
Yeah. I do too.
Me too.
I love a skater flop. I'm also using the large tension of my comb to cut as to not stretch too much tension on this top jumpy area. It just was a natural thing for me to do.
Weight removal. And then length. He hasn't recombed or anything. That's something you kind of want to practice. It's not easy at first, but the more you practice, the better and easier it is.
Yeah.
Is that all right? Yes, thank you. Will you stand up for me for 1 second? Sorry. Start this back a little bit. Stand right here. So this is something that I do a lot when I really want to check my shape. I'm tall too, and I just want to see where it's sitting with her before I really move on. And I'm going to do some of my detailing here with her standing, so I can be at eye level. And then I'm going to end up using my scissors in some areas just to change up the texture, so we'll have blunt and softness all at once.
Oh my gosh, so cute. Little.
I love that.
Cool. Sit down for me. I'm going to move the chair.
All right.
So I think that what's cool about these bobs is that they're interesting, right? There's a little interest to them, that they're not just your everyday bob that you see. It's really thought out. I think that when you talk about French hair, it's more of like a vibe
Totally.
than a haircut. So it's like the attitude more than the actual haircut. Because you can have long hair, short hair, like a razored little shag, like what's her name? The other sister, Lou Dillon's sister.
Charlotte Gainsbourg.
Charlotte Gainsbourg little shag, and that's very French, and I think it's more of like how they don't really overstyle it, and they don't wash it all the time, and it looks more natural. They're not trying to curl it or straighten it, or you know what I mean? So I would say it looks pretty French. Sorry to all the French people out there for that.
I'm combing it back just to check any overhang bits through the back. You know, just like thinking about Crown Town into Nape Town.
Allison's hair texture is really great for this haircut.
And then just taking out some weight. In it. Oh, it looks so good.
So guys in the audience, what are some things that you remember from the first demo that you're going to think about in your own hands-on session? Some tips.
Definitely tension. Not huge.
Sectioning, tension.
The towns.
What? I'm sorry. The towns, yes.
And then combing hair from where it lives.
Combing hair from where it lives. Good. And then how about from these bob demos? Different strokes for different folks. I see. That's from Eric. Remember Eric used to say that?
Aw, yeah.
Aw, Eric. I miss Eric.
Yeah.
That's a guy we used to work with in New York.
Is he live streaming right now? Who should have?
That's so cute, Kate.
Thank you. How much time do we have?
2 minutes.
Oh, okay. I couldn't tell.
We have, I think, 10, right? 10 minutes?
Yeah, you have a lot of pictures. Like, it was like more than I expected. Really? So I'm going to take her bang section all in one. I just lied. I'm going to split it in half. And I'm going to work from the inside out. I'm going to keep my elevation pretty low, but I'm going to take all this section in one, which is quite a bit of hair, because I kind of want that little bit of bevel and that graduation that it's going to get. And I think I decided that I'm going to do right above her brows.
When I'm doing cleanup on the neck,
Yes.
when I'm doing neck work, I'll use the garter razor because I do not want to cut anybody. That is not my jam anymore. I've cut people before. Yeah, I'll use it then. Did you just clean up?
Your guarded razor is the question? Yeah. When do you use your guarded razor? So, yeah, that's true. It's like I don't ever use my straight razor on kids. Little kids, I never use it.
Oh, no? Uh-oh.
No, I just don't want them to go, or whatever little kids that don't know how to sit still and wait. Not that I have a ton of little kid clients, but I do have some, and I always make sure that I don't create any kind of hazard. But also the guarded razor works well on extensions too, to make them look more real. Yeah. Yeah, and bangs. It works for everything. It's just your preference. Gorge. Christy.
Will you stand up for me again?
Yeah.
And then if that were like flat ironed, it'd be so cool.
Oh,
Let's bring it back. Just kidding.
It would be more like Linda.
I love her texture with that cut. All of those little kicks and waves.
Is there any powder?
Yes.
Just a little bit. You look good. Oh my God, what? Yes.
I'm I love taking my scissors and cutting really blunt areas after I've done a razor haircut. I think it changes it, makes it so.
I love that.
It's cool.
Looks like when kids cut their own hair, like, I can't afford a haircut. I'm
little chops.
20 and I can't afford to just do it. And it looks so good.
And it looks good. You're like.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, just like relax your face a little.
So for the beginners today, you guys are getting long layers only. No bobs, because bobs are a little harder. So we're going to give you all long layers for those of you that are beginning.
Thank you.
It's the easiest. You will thank me.
All right, sit down for my just final.
That looks so great on her.
Sorry, I have to push the chair up. These chairs are heavy. Sorry. All right, there we go. How does the bang length look from where you guys are sitting?
So good.
So good.
Perfect. My favorite when there's like that long piece in front is when they're like looking down at something and that little piece like falls forward. Yes, that's my favorite.
Look down. Now stay like that. Just kidding.
Just walk around like that.
Just be like a shy girl.
Shy girl hair. That's a new hashtag. And it looks so much fuller, Nicholas.
Yeah. It's so 90s. With the t-shirt and the thing and her whole look.
I just tell them to wear white tees and blue jeans. And I don't give them much more direction than that.
Yeah. Cool, I'm done. Thank you.
Beautiful.
I'm good.
Yeah, we'll get pictures in a
Yeah.
second.
Oh, you sit here. Sorry.
All right. I just added a little bit of
looks
something
Oh my God, I
I found
love
over
it.
here.
You want what?
No, I said I added a little bit of something I found over here. It seemed kind of creamy. I don't know what it is, but I like it. Just to get some of those little flyaways.
Was it an oil or which one was it?
Oh, I love
Oh, that stuff is so good
for her.
for fuzzy hair. It's really good because it puts
It's like
a
my
lot
favorite
of
product
shine.
from them.
It's like an extra shine product, so it's awesome. It's Colton King Balm. Cool. So, what do you guys think? You feel inspired? You excited? Okay. So next steps. We are gonna get photos of our models. You guys are free to take photos if you like. And also, your models are already seated at your stations. Steve wants me to move over here. And the models, could you guys stand up? Oh, yeah.
Let me get some of this hair off of you. Sorry. I'm doing that.
So cute. Yeah, it's just so our live streamers can see the finished results. Yeah, you guys can stand, all three of you, right in front. Natalie, come over here. And you can stand right here.
So
Oh,
cute.
yeah. Woo, woo. Sexy, sexy. I'm all about sexy hair. Right? Sexy girl hair, sexy person hair. Okay, so the next steps are you are assigned a station. We have to set up this room, so I'm going to ask before you get up, I'm going to ask you guys to get up and move in the other room so we can set up this room. But what we're going to do is the beginners are going to be working with Kate both days, and then I'm going to have a group, and Nicholas is going to have a group in this room. And what we do is we start with our consultation. So when you meet your client and your model, talk about what you're going to do, what your vision is, and your approach. How are you going to do it? I would like you to just do what you saw in the demo. If you want to change it up a little bit, let me know. We are open to that. So we really just want to make our clients happy today and also make an impact in their hair and change it for the better. So you guys can get up and go into the other room. You can look for your station. You can set up your tools. And if you don't see your station over there, then your station's probably going to be in this room.